Welcome, you guys. This is Rick Worth. I'm down here in the sunset time of Key West, Florida. I'm back at you with another story that contains the code in it. I'm gonna start telling you. I'm just gonna tell you, it's another fairy tale. And although maybe some of you guys got to see a Quickie, I've already deleted. That's the whole idea of this whole code, is to go in and delete things, But no, I want to tell you a story because it's everywhere. I want to tell you this. One of the coolest ones that I ran across, and there's a whole mess of them, is this one that's called the Swans. And what I've gone and done is, what you're supposed to do is you're really supposed to seek the source of these things. These are hundreds of years old, centuries. And maybe even from the Celtic world. But this one didn't really want to give up much of its sources. But it has a whole mess of, offshoots. But anyways, the story is still there. The coding is still there, regardless. And so I'm gonna wing this one, all right? Which means, I don't need my glasses. I can go without them for a little bit, show my true self. But anyways, what I want to talk to you about is that I want you to lend an ear to the story, okay? And there are always these kings and queens and castles and stuff like that. So it's I think it's just a wonderful little story. If you want to go and find it exactly, I went to Wikipedia, and then I pushed down on Grimes, and then it takes you right to where you want to go. Or you just write in, I'm looking for the original story, all right? And there's a whole variety of them, but one usually will show up as the correct one. But generally, what it is this: the synopsis of this would be is that there was a king, his wife his ex-wife, or his widowed wife, and she's dead, whatever. Left him with 7 children, 6 boys and a girl. And the brothers that they are, they loved each other very much and what have you. But anyways, he was out hunting one day, and as he was going hunting, he was going after some kind of a fox, and the rest of the people that were with him in the run seen him dart into the forest, and he was so much ahead of everyone that he separated himself, going so deep into the forest he couldn't find his way out. In fact, the way some of the stories show is that that the forest itself comes alive and kind of slaps him around and kicks him around and makes him breathless. He just couldn't get out. He just wrestled and wrestled and wrestled in this thing. And he just thought, I'm going to have to get out of this place. And then, of course, he comes across some old woman. And, my fair lady, he says, can you show me the way out of this forest? If you could, I'd give you anything you ask. And she says, well, of course, I've lived here all my life. But what I'd rather you do is that you marry my daughter, and then I'll show you the way out. And if not, I'll leave you in here so you can die of hunger. And he was like, whoa, shit, fire. What am I going to have to do with this? So, where is she at? I haven't even seen this gal. So, poof, out of nowhere, this little hut or whatever, or castle shows up, depending on who you're listening to. And a beautiful woman was sitting there by a fire. He could see she was really beautiful, but he couldn't come to really stare without shuddering. There was something was going on. But anyways, that's what he did. He gave her, his word that he would do this. And so he placed her up onto his horse and took her home. They were married, they had all this business going on, and then he went to introduce them to the kids. Well, in one story, she spited all of them. She absolutely hated every one of them, and she set out to kill them. But in this original story, he thought that the stepmother may cause him some harm. So he takes his kids to the castle that's in the middle of the woods. that said that he knows that they will be safe. He says that he wouldn't have found this place himself if it wasn't for a wise woman once that showed him how to use a magic ball of yarn, that when he threw it down in front of him, it unraveled and showed him the way. So as they were going otherwise, he wouldn't have known otherwise. So this is where he took his children to hide them out. And of course they enjoyed them, they loved. He went to them all the time. He kept visiting his kids all the time, and the queen kept noticing, what the hell is he doing? Well, so what happens is she starts talking to the servants and all this, so he is betrayed by his servants. Even told of the little ball of yarn that shows the way all by itself. So she waited to find out where this thing was. She was just in all a passion to find out where he hid his yarn. And so once she had found this out, she took off. She also wove together shirts, six shirts of silk of some kind. I just think some silk, and she sewed a little charm in them. And so what she was planning on doing was going over to the kids and getting rid of them somehow. So nothing's revealed at this particular time, but whenever there's the noise, she's coming through the forest, she's coming, the kids all hear this going on, they think it's their father coming, so they rush up to go and find him. The 6 boys do. The girl, something happened in the kitchen, made a mess or something, and she had to stay and clean it up. So the 6 boys ran out to meet their father, and found out it was their wicked stepmother instead. And so at the same time, she threw all of these coats that she had wove together. There's a lot of weaving in these stories, but that was what she had to do. She made a coat, and as the coat touched each one of the boys, they were turned into a swan, and then they flew off over the woods, the forest, and disappeared. She didn't even know about the girl. It's as if she'd never seen her before. I guess that's with one of the stories. And so she thought she was so great, she'd gotten rid of these kids forever, and she went back home to this kingdom with their father to give him a little hell as well. Well, anyways, what happens is the father comes and finds out that, oh my God, what happened? He says, your mom, your wife just did this, our stepmother. I can't believe this is happening. So he says, I need to take care of you. I'm scared, She says, no, I'll do it myself. Let me stay one more night. So as soon as night fell, she took off to go and find her brothers. And she ran directly into the woods, and she couldn't find them. She ran for 2 nights in a row, and on the 3rd night she found them. And they were all in some kind of like a little pond, and there was a whole mess of other swans as well. And she called out, "Are you my brothers?" And they came over and said, "Yes." All right, that's one story. I like this other one. What happens is she wanders for the night for 3 days or whatever, she's one day after another, and she comes across a little hunter's cabin. And what she finds in there is she finds 6 little places to sleep, little cots or something like that, beds. And she didn't want to sleep in any one of them, but she hid underneath one. That's where she chose to sleep that night. And before nightfall, she heard this clutter about, and 6 swans flew in through the window. And they blew on each other, and they blew on each other, and soon, with like taking off a shirt, their swan skin clothing came off of them. And noticing that they were her brothers, she was just in such a delight to see it. And they said, "Oh, it's our sister. Oh my God, what a wonderful thing that she's here." And they said, "Oh my God, you can't stay here. This is a robber's den. And if they come in and find you, they'll kill you." And she says, "Can't you protect me?" And he says, "No, we've only got about 15 minutes. A quarter of an hour is what they said, that they can be in human form. Otherwise, they are all the rest of the time a swan." And she cried, and she cried. Certainly there's something I can do to fix this. Certainly some way to be redeemed. And he says, well, of course there is, but it's very harsh, and it's only one way to do it. She goes, I'm sure whatever it is, I can do it, and I will do it, and I will do it if it kills me. And I said, well, okay, what you'll have to do is you can't talk or laugh. You cannot utter one word for 6 years. And if you can do this, and at the same time you have to weave you have to weave 6 coats of basically any kind of flower, but they were weaving flowers together to get these things to come to life. And I've said chrysanthemums. I've heard them all, different kinds of lilies, whatever, but it's a flower. So if you weave a bunch of flowers for us, a cloak of some kind of flower, that'll help us out some. She says, I will do that, I will do it, and I have to do it for 6 years, and I will not do So they took off, they got their wings back on, they flew off, and she took off into the woods, and she found herself a tree, climbed up in, and started sewing together all these flowers. She had 6 years to do this. Well, I think it was just the next night or the next day or something like that. Some kingsmen were out, some guy, some king was out, prince or something like that, was out hunting. They all spied that woman up in there. Check her out. Look at this. And they could see she's really beautiful. What are you doing up there? She didn't say anything. Come down from here. Come down from there. That's dangerous, she says. No. So to bid them fair due, she takes off a necklace, a golden necklace, and she tosses that and think that would get rid of him. No, didn't know. Oh, and then she took off a belt. She threw that down there too. That wasn't enough, so she took off a garter and she threw that down there. And eventually, one thing after another, she was left with nothing but her little dress that she was wearing. What do they call that? Some kind of shift or something. The boys, that wasn't enough, so they climbed up in the tree and they brought her down. And again, speaking all these different languages that the king could possibly say, could not get a word out of her in any way. But notice how beautiful she was, and took her home into his kingdom. Still, for days, nothing happened. There was no communication whatsoever, but he decided he was going to marry her anyways, and it'll just have to come out in the end, I guess, So they were married, and of course she was still on this long trip of having to weave these things. So within a year she had her first baby, and when this baby came into the world, the stepmother of this particular king didn't like her at all, didn't have anything to do with her. She hated this little girl, didn't know where she came from, didn't like her for her son. So she came in, took the baby, and took off with it, and rubbed blood on the girl's face, right, while she was asleep. And so when the queen woke up, or the princess or the queen woke up the next day, of course, and the baby was gone, and she cried and cried over it, and when the husband came and looked at her face, she was all bloody. And of course the stepmother was there saying, she's a witch, she needs to be killed. She ate her baby. It was sometime again, he couldn't believe anything happened. He says, no, I don't believe this happened. She's just too beautiful. She's too pious to do something like that. Another baby came around, and another disappearance. And another accusation from the stepmother. Again, to burn her at the stake. So next thing you know, he still doesn't believe any of this business, and it happens for the third time. He can't help it. He just cannot help it. He has to do something. And he sets up the area to, burn her at the stake. Well, she is just sitting there making these flower things, dripping blood out of her mouth. She's not showing, she doesn't care. It's like, this is what this idea is. All she's thinking about are those damn flower things, So here she is. She's not even done yet. She's got them all done but one. The youngest boy, she hasn't got the sleeve done yet on the left arm. So she's like being carted off to this, to her doom. And the next thing you know, she's up there. This is the same day. It's exactly 6 years after she had made this promise to her brothers, and there's a squawking noise, and these boys, the swans came flying in. She tossed them those coats that she had made, and as they touched them, they turned into boys again, or back into human beings, into handsome princes, of course. And of course, what happens is there's this shit that they lit the fire underneath her, and that's where all these things came about. Boom, 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 and they all turned into these back to her brothers. Everybody was restored back to happiness. They accused the witch. She kind of, in her way, was trying to take revenge, get back, but she fell into the fire, and she was the one that was burnt up. That's how it works out in this story. And of course, everybody lives happily ever after in this, right? So it's a wonderful story that you can see the code working very well in it, and that there was this she walked and she walked and she walked, or she did this, It's just, you remember the room, the robber's room that we get when we had the when we had the four musicians, right? Remember the four musicians? And the room that they were in, and they was robbers, and they were going to get the robbers out of that room so that they could, possess it for themselves. And then later on, the robbers tried to come back in, and then they were they'll never come back in here again, they were scared off. So, listen, these stories are, they're very much, this one here had very much everything to do with our Bible. You had with the way the Bible was written. Leavened bread. If at any moment, you in order to make it, to do the law, to fulfill this law, or to make it through Passover without dying, the idea was that you had 7 days of unleavened bread, and you were not allowed to eat leavened bread for 7 days. And then if you did, even on the first, if you had just this little bit, they will all be done without. So, if you can't see that this is the same stories, it's in our precious Bible, and this is just a kid's fairy tale, you're going to have to grasp that. And very much indeed, that diddle diddle, cat and the fiddle song, or sing-song business, is very much a part of this same story. Very much. Alright? You can call me nuts, I don't give a fuck, That's where I'm at in my life, I just don't care. I'm already a nut. And besides, this is still a secret. Hardly anybody reads these things, So I can act all a fool one, But let me tell you, the code is there, And I'm sure that some of you that have that ear are starting to hear it. All right. I love you. It's God's honest truth. Get up there and clean house. Make you happier ever after, and kill that bitch. Quell her, burn her at the stake. Did you understand that? How about that? The idea that people that were said that they had God inside of them back in those days, like, even if you were these witch, if you knew this, if some magic happened and all of a sudden you were speaking in tongues, or you could all of a sudden, like, you understood something, or you knew something, and then it freaked everyone else out, and then she's got to be a witch. Only a witch could know that, or some kind of weird miracle, or that you could see, or you could predict something. Burn them at the stake, That's the, stone them. They need to get stoned, and the whole town gets together and stones them. Or the whole town gets together and burns them at the stake. So I want you to think about those things. Those are hideous. Those are hideous operations. That means that if you're going this wrong way, you want to clean up, then go inside. There's no blood, there's no dying, there's no hocus pocus. It's a natural thing. If you could think about something sexual, you know, or like the birth of one of your children, or, you know, something beautiful, there is a system of feeling that comes about, and it's an electrical thing that goes on within our body. When you think of a sexual thing and all the things start moving and your heart may pump a little faster and you get a little something going on, you know, it's electrical. When you want to shut down the outside of us and it is no longer in charge, when this vibration, this frequency lets you go into quietness, into silence, and other frequencies get a chance to take over and do their thing, you know, that's natural. It's not crazy. And God is nature. God is natural. And both of them, mother and father both, are out there to help us, not hurt us. But father on his own, you know, he don't give a damn. He does not want someone to come in. Did you notice how at the end of the story she hadn't finished up the left arm of the youngest of the boys? That's he's the messenger. You know, of the boys, he was the one that was the flyer. Remember, he's in all the stories. They always show him up at the end. This is the guy, you know. So he has his left arm, which is the animal side of us, the left side of our mind. But it's also the messenger. Once you knock him out, he flies, and flying. All these things have to do with flight. And how about that spindle? How about the spindle thing that if he hadn't been shown by a wise woman, that wise woman is a mother of us all. She's wisdom. She is Sarah. That's what she means. That's what that means. Sarah is, she's wisdom in the Bible. If he had not been shown the spindle that he could throw down in front of him, and that it would unravel and show him the way. Alright. I was on my way out of here. I just wanted to bring up those points in case you missed it. Best to y'all. I love you. I really do.